Okay, so today I wanted to talk about how I use one of my favorite lighting modifiers. This is an umbrella softbox, and this is the Profoto umbrella deep medium, and it's got a diffusion front here, which basically turns it into a softbox like modifier. Got the beautiful Delphine here who's going to be helping out. And so I want to kind of show you guys, a lot of people make a mistake with softboxes by, there's a couple different things that people tend to do. First thing, so the softbox, most people think that you want to take this, and we've all heard the old 45 degrees to the camera. Well, this really is not the best way to use the softbox. What you're essentially doing is taking this directional light and turning it into a broad light source that doesn't have that nice direction to it. So really where we want to place this is right about here. And when it's in this position, what I'm looking for is that it's actually perpendicular to our subject. So what's happening is that the light coming from here is actually making this nice draping across the face. This light is filling in the side that we're going to be not shooting into, and the more of the shadows come on this side of the face, which is what we want. When you come in this way, you're filling in too much of the face, which gets it less three-dimensional, and it's not as flattering of a look. So one thing you'll notice is that, I'll show you on the camera from here, this is where in line with the box. So that is ahead of where Delphine's face is. And what that does is means that she's not getting too much light on this side of her face. It's all coming and draping across nicely this way. So I'm going to take a couple shots and kind of show you how this works and how it looks. Okay, so I actually ended up turning Delphine around since the sun came out. And what I did was I put the sun behind her. So what we're going to do is use that sun as a nice hair light and use our softbox here as a fill light.
So here is a quick shot that I took just to set my ambient exposure, basically using the highlight as a backlight. And you can see that she's a bit underexposed here, so that's what we're going to fill with the flash. So my ambient exposure settings came to f2.8 at 1/5000th of a second shutter speed. The nice thing is that I was able to attain that nice shallow depth of field without the use of ND filters because with the Godox system that I use, I'm able to shoot at high speeds above the camera's 1/250th of a second shutter speed. It's a great advantage of that just because having one less thing to worry about allows you to, basically shoot however you want without having to really worry about a limitation of the camera's sync speed.
You also can see here that I raised it up because typically I want this to be, the bottom of this light to be somewhere around chest level, so that it's kind of draping down. One thing to remember is that in general, in nature, light comes from above. So we always want to try to replicate that to create a more natural looking light. The sun comes from above, overhead lighting, it's all above. So we're trying to make that light come down and drape across the face in a more natural way so it falls off down the body. So we've got Delphine over here. I've got her turned slightly away from the light, and I'm having her turn her face back a little bit towards me. And what this means is that I'm shooting into the shadow side of her face. The light is dominantly hitting this side, which means that this is the shadow side of her face, which means that when I photograph from here, if her nose is pointed towards the light, that means that I'm photographing into the shadow side. This is also known as short lighting. Broad lighting, Delphine, turn your face this way. If I shot into this side of the face, I would be broad lighting her. Her nose is pointing away from the light. This is a less flattering way to photograph a female because it's going to light everything on that side. Delphine, if you please turn your head that way. When you do it this way, you're actually going to get, if I just pull your hair back a little bit.
Yeah.
If I pull the hair back a little bit, the shadows are going to fall along this side of the face, and I'm going to show you guys that after I take a shot here.
So here is the resulting photo after I took a couple shots here and just found what I like to kind of show off what I was going for here. You'll have to excuse, obviously, this is straight out of camera, so we've got some flyaway hairs. We're dealing with a lot of wind there, but I like what's actually going on here, and what I really like about this is that her nose is turned towards the light, which is really demonstrating that short lighting that I was talking about before. As you can see here, if you look on the her left side of her face, you know, the part that is showing towards the camera, you'll see that the transition from highlight on her cheek to the shadows on the side of her face is a nice smooth transition. That's what we're getting because of the placement of the softbox. If the box had been placed, you know, to a further degree in front of her, it would have filled in more of that shadow, and it wouldn't create this flattering look that gives 3D dimensionality to her face. The other thing to notice here is that what I'm trying to go for is the brightest part of the photo being on her face, and then the light to softly, you know, fade off as it goes down her body here. It's not too dramatic of an effect here, but you should be able to notice that the biggest highlights are on her face, and it gets a little bit, you know, darker and a little more in shadow as you go down her body there. That is how natural light tends to look, and that's why I raised the softbox up higher so that we have that effect as well. If everything from top to bottom in a photograph on a subject is equally lit, it tends to shout that it's fake, and that will really throw off a viewer, distract them from the photo itself and the subject that is in the photo. So finally, I'll just leave you with a really quick lighting diagram to really show you where I place the subject in relation to the umbrella box. As you can see here, our subject is slightly behind the box, and it is perpendicular to her face. Her nose is pointed towards the box. Typically, I would have her shoulders turned away from the box, but not really possible with this diagram here, but you get the picture there. So that's it for me. Please let me know if you have any questions. Throw them in the comments. Let me know what else you guys want to know, and I'll be happy to try and get around to it. Thank you, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe.